Welcome back to another MLB edition of our FSI breakdowns here at Fantasy Sports Insight. Hold the door DFS along with TKNation here, bringing you a breakdown for tomorrow's big classic slate. We're really excited, except realizing that Houston and Colorado are now just playing each other again in Coors Field. So Martin Maldonado at 5,100 is quite the starting point for the hitters. But let's get into the slate. I know, TK, you're a little bit bummed about Pollock, and we weren't able to talk about Marco Gonzalez tonight. Like, he was
I know.
Instead, he just rips your stack apart.
The last 5 times we've recorded Marco Gonzalez on the slate, so all streaks come to an end. But we still get to mention him as he was pitching tonight, and he ripped up the Dodgers in typical Marco fashion. Destroys the good teams and sucks against the bad teams. So, what can you do? We move on.
Good old Marco.
Yeah.
But all right, we are going to just kind of a preview of what we're going to talk about here. We're going to talk about pitching first, and then we will just go game by game in basically try to prioritize the teams that we want to target for hitters. If there's a team that we aren't really targeting the hitters like Miami, then we'll just, brush over them and spend some more time on some of the lineups with the higher totals. The 2 highest totals of the slate are obviously Coors Field at 12.5, and then the Washington-Atlanta game at 10 runs. So let's dive into the pitching. The Mets are the biggest favorite of the slate at -250, followed by the Dodgers at -250. We got, I would say 2 studs here to pick from, and then it kind of drops off. What's your take on DeGrom versus Cole?
I'm going to be leaning on Cole at that $11K price tag. DeGrom's got the blister issue. Last time he faced the Marlins, he only went 5 innings, gave up 2 home runs. Or gave up a home run, gave up 2 hits, or 2 home runs, 1 walk. I have 2 home runs and 1 home run written down. So nice job on my research. No, but he's given up some home runs in each of his start. He only had 6 Ks versus Miami, and like I had mentioned, he has the blister issue. I'm not sure how long they're going to let DeGrom go early on in the season this year. I think obviously the upside is there. The Marlins lineup is nothing to be scared about. I think Sierra is their leadoff hitter, and Anderson is their best hitter. I don't know what more I could do with DeGrom, but at 11.8, I struggle to think that he gets to 30 points, and I think Garrett Cole at 11K has a better opportunity of getting to 30 points. His 10K upside is more there. Last time out, he had 8 versus Boston. This year he only has a 4% walk rate, so he's really limiting guys on base. The hard contact's really low, and he's got a 13% swing and strike rate. He is going to get the Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays will probably put up a bunch of lefties versus Cole, but Cole is one of those guys where you don't have to worry about the platoon. He's just good against both sides of the plate. I'm going to be really heavily invested in Garrett Cole. I believe he will be a cash SP1 tomorrow, where maybe Coors doesn't really have a good hitting matchup with some of the better pitchers for each of those teams on the mound. So, yeah, Garrett Cole, my lean in the top of the range. What about you?
Yeah, I think Garrett Cole for sure. You take away the injury concern potentially with DeGrom. And then, he did strike out, 10 Tampa Bay Rays in 2 starts ago. That wasn't Tampa, but I do think for the little bit of savings and the not worrying about the injury upside, I think you definitely lean Cole here. Moving down to our next tier, Savali, your Cleveland Indian, Urias. We have Merrill Kelly and Lance Lynn and Glasnow. Let's go Glasnow to Urias. I know just my quick take, it's always tough to trust Urias just with a short leash that Roberts gives him. I mean, it's 5 innings or less usually. He does have a little bit of strikeout upside, but it's going to be really tough to pay off 10-1 in really limited fashion. But my favorite out of this group would be going back to my former twin and Lance Lynn, just dominating at Coors Field. I mean, what else do you want? He complete game, I think. And I think the
Complete game, two-run
two
ball.
runs he gave up were like
Yeah.
one of them was unearned for sure. Like Andrews couldn't feel the ball in that game, but yeah, Lance Lynn, one of my favorite pitchers on the slate at 9,200.
Yeah, didn't walk a guy through 9 innings against Colorado. Only gave up 2 hits. Really crushed. Lance Lynn's going to be a lock for me on tomorrow's slate. I don't know if he's going to be SP1 or 2 in cash, but I will have Lance Lynn. I know the Padres are really turning it up against Texas in this series. I think they scored almost 9 runs again today. But Lance Lynn's on a different planet. 29K rate is not that high, but Lance Lynn's got a really low hard contact rate, 27%. He's just finding ways to get guys out. He's the Rangers' best pitchers, and quite frankly, that .74 WHIP and the 3.0 winning, the 3.0 record with the 1.1 ERA. He's making a serious strong case for a Cy Young. Bieber for the Indians also in that mix, with those high K numbers. But Lance Lynn quietly having a really good season for the Rangers, been their best pitcher. Likely an all-star if they do have an all-star game. Are they having an all-star game this year?
I don't think
know.
so because
No?
they wouldn't have fans there anyway.
That's
I
true.
think it was
What
more
would
of
be
like
the
the
point?
fan.
Yeah.
They might do like a vote in, but I don't know that they're gonna play the. I mean, they already have how many games they need to make up with other teams. Like, I don't know that they can waste much, in between time before they move on.
Right before the snow comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Lynn would be high up there on the All-Star ballot. So at 9-2, the savings you get from guys like DeGrom and Cole, I think make Lance Lynn an absolute lock tomorrow. So that's my guy in that range. I know you would mention him as your guy too. So I think we're pretty good there. Savali, Kelly, just a little too high priced for me with the input you would see in like a 7K pitcher.
And I think Lance, like the Padres, I think I looked at their lineup today. I mean, they're not putting out a great lineup. Hosmer's back in the lineup, but after him, you're getting down to Cronenworth and their catcher, and
Edges, yeah,
it's pretty top heavy. If
it
Tatis
is.
and Machado are not getting on base, and Grisham's been good, decent, but
They strike out quite a bit too. I noticed throughout my research when I'm writing down previous starts, a couple of these high K games have been against the Padres. So maybe Lynn gets a couple more Ks for that price.
Yeah. All right. Our next kind of group here is Framber Valdez at Coors Field, Luzardo, one of the top prospects, Paddock against the Rangers, who have not hit the ball very well. Rich Hill, 40-year-old for my Minnesota.
Yeah, Richie.
I just had to pull this out. I mean, he had like, this is why 68 pitches. He went 5 scoreless innings in his only start this year. I mean, again, it's going to be a short leash on him, and I don't know that they announced it yet or not because his shoulder was hurting again, but they're going to roll him back out there again because they need somebody other than Dobnik to get him win here. Or Maeda, I guess Maeda. So let's look at just this tier here. Let's just go down to 7K because I don't know that we're really considering Walker against the Dodgers or Sandoval. Sandoval maybe against the Giants, but then they just rip up Dylan Bundy. So, I mean, who knows?
Yeah. So previously, before I had thought this game was in Coors, I had, Framber Valdez as a top play. But now that this game is in Coors, the 12.5 total, Valdez has got three straight games with like 20 points plus with a 57% ground ball rate. Throw all that out the window now because at a drop of a hat, Coors goes off and a couple walks lead to a couple homers and you're stunned. At 8,300, that's just not worth the risk. That's why we don't play guys in Coors, because of that overwhelming risk. If you obviously want to take a GPP flyer on something like that, I think it's worth it. But with that being said, now we have to move on to some of these other plays. Paddock, I think, is a decent play against the Rangers. Before he got rocked in his last time out versus the Dodgers, giving up 3 home runs. He did have 3 straight starts over 10, 15, 10, 11 points. I think that's, it's not something you're shooting for at 7,700, but I think that just gives you an idea of what kind of range you can find yourself in with his point totals. The hard contact rate's high, so I could see avoiding Paddock. Luzardo versus Arizona. I was actually kind of hoping to fit some Arizona bats against Luzardo. He didn't look overly impressive in his last start, but I believe that was against Houston. Or no, it was against the Giants. He faced the Giants, and they just threw a ton of righties. Yeah, they threw all those heavy righties his way, and that's kind of why I'm avoiding Sandoval on this slate, because they're going to be throwing Flores and all these other kind of righties his way, and I just fear the Giants low K numbers and 6-7 righties in their lineup against the lefty. But I think Luzardo probably could be a good lean, him or Paddock, if you want to just not play Valdez. But for cash, I could see both of those players. What about you in this range? Any other guys stick out to you?
Nothing that I'm looking, real hard at. I think I don't know that these guys are viable enough in the 7K range to be paying down. Like if I'm going to be paying down to get some of those Coors bats in, I think we're going to pay down more than this because they are too close to Glass now, Lynn. But you do have the strikeout upside in this range with Luzardo. I think Lopez has some, like 8. He's got some high strikeout numbers.
He's interesting.
Yeah, so you have some. I think you have high upside with lower floor plays in here. Rich Hill is low floor, low upside, so you might want to avoid him.
40-year-old upside. He's got 40. No, Pablo Lopez has actually pitched really well this year. But the Mets have been just absolutely on fire. So if you think like the Mets bats just kind of like take a one night cool down, Pablo Lopez at that low 7K range, I think you're going to have to find somebody like Pablo Lopez, Paddock, or Luzardo. You're going to have to get one of those guys right tomorrow in order to get some of those high price bats that go off. So, definitely going to have to, deeper dive that tomorrow and get with you guys in the Discord and see what we can find in that 7K range.
Yeah, our next range down is Casey Mize, one of the top prospects and the pitching prospects in the league. But, as we talked before the show, going up against a White Sox team that is kind of putting up runs in bunches, and a lot of home runs. They're still going to have some strikeouts, but Tim Anderson has been on fire. Jan Moncada has been on fire. We moved down a little bit. We probably want to fade like Fetty, who will hardly pitch. Kyle Wright's been awful. Anderson is like a 3-inning guy right now, not even a full workload. So I think the only guys that might get even a 5-inning chance down here is Cueto and Castellani. And Castellani, I don't even know has gone 5 innings yet either. He's looked sharp, but they got him on a pretty short leash too. He did have 88 pitches, but again, it's against Houston, so I don't really know that this is the spot. But 4,900. If you get 10 points out of him, you're happy. Right.
So my random GPP dart tomorrow is going to be Castellani at 4,900. I really wanted to pitch this guy, and I was actually quite shocked to see him 4,900. But now that I know that the game's in Coors, it makes a lot of sense. He is giving up 72% hard contact, so when the guys do hit the ball, it's hit hard, it's hit sharply, but he's got decent K numbers. This 14% swinging strike rate. If this guy can just get some soft contact, a lot of those advanced metrics would show that Castellani is going to be a decent pitcher in the league. But man, I know Houston's been quite cold, and they haven't really had a stack go off in quite some time. You got Altuve batting in the 6th hole. Springer got scratched yesterday. Now they got to travel all the way to Denver. So I don't know what the lineup's going to look like tomorrow, but I got a feeling some cheap Astros are going to be atop of the order, and everyone's going to play them. So GBP dart for Castellani.
Toro, Straw,
Yeah. Just Kyle Tucker.
Mayfield.
Yeah. All these guys are going to be below 5K, and the world's going to play them. And I'm probably going to be on the Castellani side or fade, and they'll go off. So I can see it happening right now before the research and the lineups are done. So, but yeah, I like Castellani, and I think the only other guy in this range I would take a shot on is that Casey Mize from Detroit, because he does have elite K numbers. He is the number 1 pick in 2018. I don't expect a big leash. I expect 3 to 4 strong innings. If he can strike out 7 or 8 and then maybe only give up 1 or 2 runs, I think that's viable down there below 7K for being able to fit some of these bats, because even bats that aren't in cores, they're still going to be expensive. We still need to find some spots that we can, save on pitching. So Mize, Castellani, going to be the only 2 down here I even take a look at. Yeah, I noticed Dooning, he's going to have some pitches. He's going to have a pitch count. But yeah, I don't know too much about Dane Dooning, if he's going to get anywhere close to more than 50 pitches. I assumed 50 pitches was the benchmark. That's like a standard bullpen session, 50 pitches. So if he gets 50 pitches, that's nothing more than maybe 2 to 3 innings. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
probably
Yeah,
a fade.
Right, probably a fade. So that's it for me.
Maeda's no hitters over.
No, what happened? Who did Maeda give up a hit to?
Sogard leadoff single.
Oh yeah.
Now
Man,
let's bring in Taylor Rogers to lose the game. He's done that.
I love Taylor Rogers. I have Taylor Rogers in season long. He's been raking in saves. I love it. He did blow a few, but still, I love it. This is like the perfect slate for Randy Dobnak to start. I wish Randy Dobnak was right there at 7,500 versus the Brewers. Like, this was it. Like, this was the Randy Dobnak crush spot, and we don't have it. We have Rich Hill. So, damn it.
All right. I think
Hill.
Is there anybody? I'm assuming Tampa Bay, New York. You're fading bats here against Glasnow and Cole.
I could see playing the Yankees. The Glasnow did face the Yankees before. Obviously, they had Judge and Stanton in them, but Ford hit a homer off them. Sanchez has a hit. Torres went 2 for 4. Urshela has 3 RBIs. I think New York is a decent spot. They're not expensive either, so I could take some shots on some New York bats, but that's it.
Yeah, maybe if you get like a Mike Ford hitting in the 3 hole,
sure,
Tauchman hitting cleanup or something like that, then they'd be decent. But I assume the Cleveland side. You're on the Cleveland side of this game against Brault, the lefty. Yes. Fran Train gonna keep rolling, or?
Yeah, he's been quiet tonight. What I noticed in Pittsburgh, it was super hot and humid in Pittsburgh tonight. The ball was carrying pretty well. I mean, obviously the ball carried well enough off Carrasco. Each pitcher was just drenched in sweat. I'm not sure if that's the weather tomorrow, but something to look into. It's kind of like a mini heat wave going on here in the Midwest. But if it's really hot and humid, the ball might carry a little bit farther in this big ballpark. The Indians probably going to be super high priced, except for, Franmil Reyes, who's been hitting the ball pretty well. Roberto Perez is back from the DL. The Indians could be a okay spot, more one-offs than a stack.
Yeah, I'd be the same way, except for I never really consider Perez, so he's always out of my player pool. 4,100.
He had 20 homers last year.
Did he really? Wow.
Yeah.
I guess I need to talk to Cleveland homers more often to find out about Roberto Perez.
He loves hitting opposite field homers off of lefties. That's his favorite. So whenever I get a soft tossing lefty like Brault, Roberto Perez is on my radar.
All right, let's take a look at not the Marlins, the Mets here against Lopez. I know we mentioned Lopez does have some strikeout upside, but facing a pretty hot Mets team here. Pete
Yeah.
Alonso at 4,800. Anybody else? I mean, obviously Conforto, McNeil. JD Davis is nice when he finds that spot in the 4 lineup. Smith has even hit cleanup a couple of these games at 3,900. Anybody you really like here for the Mets?
Yeah, what really sticks out to me is the price. Nemo 35, like you said, Smith 39. Conforto is below 4,500. Cano's hit 2 homers and a couple of hits tonight. McNeil had a really good game last time out against Lopez. His price tag's pretty low. So obviously they're pricing these players down pretty low. I think they're good fill-ins for stacks. Like if you want to stack up, the Coors Field and you land yourself on some Mets bats. I don't mind some of these lefties against Lopez. The Miami bullpen is nothing, to be scared about either. And if you can get to Lopez early and get into this bullpen, obviously this stack has a better chance of going off. I love the lefties and I love the price tags. I won't be scared of using some Mets tomorrow.
All right, I am in agreement with you there. Our second highest total of the night is in Washington and Atlanta. Soto finally getting, I think, what is kind of long due respect, getting the price tag at 5,700. Going to make him probably pretty tough to play. So close to the Coors guys, but I think in a vacuum, he's a phenomenal play against Kyle Wright. Trey Turner also finding some more power recently, with a home run. Did he have a home run tonight, maybe?
Yeah, he had a big home run slate the other day. I think
he had a home run. He had a home run a couple days ago, but regardless, the consistency's there. He finally stole his first base of the season.
I was on him too that day.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Like there's been times he's gotten up with no one on, and he leads off with a single and hasn't even attempted a stolen base. So, but Trey Turner, we know the upside is there with him at 4,900. And then I think you can look at Cabrera, Thames. Not really sure. We're gonna Eaton is dirt cheap, 3,000. If he's like batting in the 2-hole, I think he could definitely be in play. Anybody else on the Washington side? Otherwise, I'll move over to Atlanta.
I just want to mention Soto is an amazing tiers play. I've been playing him in tiers basically all year. You can kind of throw away price tag in that format, and usually they put Soto in like tier 2 or 3, so you get your stud and then you go to Soto. It's like kind of been a staple for my tiers format lineup construction.
Yeah, he does seem like he is being listed in the tier below what he should be in.
Yeah.
But it's nice for your builds because then you can still get that stud plus him. On the Atlanta side, go ahead.
I think this is a decent spot. Fetty is a short reliever, they're a long reliever, but turns into a short reliever. Always got explosion upside from the bats against him. You got Freeman, Ozuna, Matt Adams, if he cracks the lineup. D'Arnaud has been the chalk catcher for the last couple of weeks. Not weeks, past couple of days, and he's really producing. He had an RBI double today. Price only went up 200. So gonna go back to those wells. The Braves, probably my favorite side of the stack in this game. Outside of Coors, Rockies side, this is probably my favorite spot for the Braves. I think they win big tomorrow. Matt Adams, calling it now.
There you go.
He's going to homer. If he cracks the lineup, he's hitting a homer.
I don't really understand DK's pricing. They were pricing him at like 4,500 for the longest time, and even in tiers, he was like in tier 3 or 4, and then all of a sudden he drops down to 2,500, where that player would never even be in a tiers.
I don't get it either. And then everybody jumps on it and he produces. It's just, and if you're not following along, that's what can happen to you. You can miss out on mistakes like that.
All right, this game should have some decent runs with the pitchers. I don't really know how you approach or how I want to approach the White Sox here against somebody that is going to strike out guys, but we know has a short leash, so we probably get a lot of bullpen. Tim Anderson is on an absolute heater, 3 home runs in 2 games. the prices are cheap enough for like him and Jan Mankata, but I don't know. I just don't really feel like that great about going to them. Maybe someone like Edwin at 3,800 can definitely hit a bomb, but I don't know. How are you feeling about the White Sox?
I think you could just roll with the hot heat, the hot hitters, and then, but I wouldn't put any kind of like high exposure on it, say you play in that 3-entry $20. I wouldn't put it in that. I wouldn't put it in a 3-entry. I wouldn't make it a single entry lineup. This is like an MME kind of like stack. I wouldn't make it a priority, but I could understand the play.
Yeah. Anybody on Detroit? They're dirt cheap.
More interested in the Detroit side. Jacoby Jones. Always like one of them low 3K outfielders that I usually punt with if I need the savings. Scope's been hitting the ball really well. Goodrum's, I mean, their best hitter is barely over 4K. Life in the nutshell life for the Detroit Tigers. Candelario and Romine, a decent punt catcher. I wish Dooning had more of a leash. We could actually target him for the pitching, but maybe Goodrum and pass.
All right. Minnesota. I'm assuming for me personally, even though it's Rich Hill, I'm not really looking to target the Brewers in their form.
They just stink.
So, Nelson Cruz. Whenever you see a pitcher next to him and there's a little L next to him, he like automatically becomes like a top 5 play on the slate, regardless of who that pitcher is. And it's Brett Anderson, somebody who doesn't like to strike guys out, right? Brett Anderson. It's not Chase Anderson, is it? I think it's Brett Anderson.
It's Brett. Yeah, it's Brett.
Yeah, good old Brett. Former.
Yeah, you got to go with your Twins on this one. I really liked what they did when they put in that lineup tonight. They led off Polanco. I thought that's brilliant. I'm like, get Kepler out of that leadoff spot. I hate it so much. You notice Max Kepler only destroys the Indians. He only goes off against the Indians. Every other divisional opponent, he's just terrible against.
Yeah, well, terrible. I think he never normally would lead off against lefties. So no, he's always bumped down against lefties. But I do think using someone like Polanco, I think last time against the lefty. Yeah, Garver was hitting in the 2-hole. I think it went Polanco, Garver, Cruz, Rosario, and then whatever Marwin.
Sano,
I think this is a good spot for Cruz and Garver. I don't even know if Garver has a home run. One home run.
No, he does. Home run.
Yeah, I think he's due to get back. Polanco will have some nice value. I
mean, Sano is dirt cheap.
Yeah,
I think for the upside of the price.
Sano, yeah.
I got a big circle on Sano tomorrow.
Nice. And Rosario can hit lefties decent. So I think, they're definitely in play for me. But Cruz
I like this twin stack.
Yeah.
This is like a single entry stack for me tomorrow. I think the righties are really going to tear up the Brewers. This whole series against the Brewers have been low scoring, and the Twins have been like, I don't know, they haven't been going off, and I feel like they're ready to go nuts one of these nights. They flirted with a no-no tonight. Maybe tomorrow they score 10 runs.
That would be the perfect way to go. All right, our next game is, let's just start out with Houston here.
Shoosh.
And even in the catcher position, Martin Maldonado at 5,100. It's just laughable to me. But I think what's so funny to me is that like Walters starts almost every single time.
Yeah.
And he's still 3,300. So where does Maldonado where did he just gain this like respect that he should be 1,800 more?
He's gonna draw 4 walks, and it's gonna really pay off that 5,100 price tag.
This doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Let's start on the Houston side. Bregman and Altuve over 6K. Correa 5,300. We don't really know what this lineup's gonna look like, but I think we do know that we likely would try to find some value in guys like I said, Miles Straw maybe starts, Kyle Tucker.
Yeah. Those are the plays. Maybe even Reddick. I know he's 4,800 and he kind of sucks, but Kyle Tucker is my favorite play. Maybe Gurriel, who hits righties fairly well. But the Altuve Bregman over 6K. These guys have not done well this year. Springer's hurt. Jordan. I mean, this would be an awesome Jordan spot. He's on the IL. Brantley. I'm more interested on the Rockies side than the Astros.
All right, let's hop over to the Rockies. We got a little bit more fair pricing here. Even Story at 5,400 actually seems pretty cheap.
For the lefty right matchup. Yeah,
pretty chalk right there. Arenado, Blackman. Blackman probably will get some lower ownership, even though he's been crushing lefties just as well as he's done against righties. Hampson leading off would be a really nice play at 4,700. He's been just on a tear. Someone I still just can't get on the train on, especially against lefties, David Dahl. He's been really struggling.
He got scratched from the lineup tonight too.
Yeah, Kemp might, if he hits in the sixth hole.
Yeah,
he's
Kemp
seems to be underpriced. He hasn't hit that like Coors bomb, but I think he's still, double, single. He gets on base. And what I've noticed, tailing a lot of these Coors games, it's like the runs don't always come in that first 3-4 innings when the starters are in there. It's once that bullpen gets there and they can't get out of innings, and then they, that's where the wheels come off really fast.
The worst thing is being on a fade of Coors and like a high dollar lineup, and you're looking pretty, and next thing you know, it's the seventh inning and all these middle relievers come in, and Nolan and Story and Blackman, they just double, single, triple, homer, and like there goes the stack, and everybody that's just got tons of MME exposure to the Rockies and the Astros are going to pass you. If you're making 5 lineups, you have to be on one side of the stack at least. So if I'm making 5 tomorrow, I'll have a Rocky stack.
All right, let's move into Texas and the Padres. Are you looking either of these teams, or do you want to move on to the next game?
We could pass.
All right, let's Arizona. We have Arizona and Oakland. Arizona, you had mentioned earlier, targeting against Luzardo. And I know for me personally, the prices are just insane. I think
it's unbelievable, the prices, and that's the big point to this is, even if Luzardo does pitch well, he's not going to pitch farther than the 4th or 5th inning because he's a young prospect. He throws a lot of pitches. He tries to strike a lot of guys out. But every single like even the Tigers have a guy in the 4K range. The Arizona lineup is, head and shoulders definitely better than the Tigers, and every single one of these bats is under 4K. Carson Kelly under 3K, crushes lefties. Nick Ahmed 2,900, 2,800, crushes lefties. I mean, I know the Diamondbacks have been cold, but I don't think this is like right. I don't know.
Honestly, it feels like they're all like $500 to $1,000 cheaper than they should be. Like, Ketel Marte, I know he's struggled this year. It should never be under 4K.
No.
Starling Marte has been on fire this year.
He's been great, especially against lefties.
Right. I mean, Escobar has been awful because he's a former man, but I mean,
you can leave him. You can leave him out of the stack. But Christian Walker is like 3,300.
He's gonna bat in the 5 hole against a lefty. Give me all of that.
Right. Yeah. So Diamondback's gonna be in and out of stacks. Gonna be filling in a lot of my lineups tomorrow because of the cheap bats.
Oakland. I think if you want to pay for one of Matt Olson's 8 hits of the entire year that are all home runs, then you can do that. But
the problem with the A's, they're always so expensive, and Merrill Kelly's not terrible. There's probably going to be a spot where I don't play any A and I don't play against the A's because they're oddly one of the best teams in the league this year.
Yeah. All right, let's the Dodgers here against Taijuan Walker. We have Mookie. Bellinger is starting to definitely find a groove here. Corey Seager has been just on an absolute tear.
He's the big one.
Pollock is still 3,900, so I mean
I'm more interested in Jack Peterson tomorrow from the Dodgers. I think it's a Jack Peterson day. I checked some BVPs, got over a 450 average with a homer against Walker in his career, 4,300. Going to be a GPP play for me tomorrow. Jock Peterson, Seager, Muncy, Bellinger, Betts would round out that stack. I think it's very much in play. But Walker is a good pitcher, just runs into a lot of trouble walking guys. So walks lead the homers. It's no secret. I think the Dodgers hit a lot of homers, and if Walker's going to be putting guys on, I'm going to have a Dodger stack as well tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the tough sell on me with Jock right now is when you see him, like comparing to AJ Pollock, and Pollock's hitting in the 4 or 5 hole, and then you get Jock in the 7 or 8 hole, and he's more expensive. Just naturally, it's just harder as a cash player for me to try to find. I mean, I know he's got more of the home run upside, but when he was leading off at that same price tag, way more appealing. I'm not targeting anybody here for Seattle. I don't know if you want to look at them.
Yeah, one last quick thing on Peterson. That's the beauty of the GPP is he has multiple homer upside, and he's hitting 2 home runs in games, 3 home runs in games before, and that's the beauty of the GPP upside for him is he can hit homers and he can hit them in bunches, and sometimes guys getting on base before these 7-hole hitters, and those homers can be grand slams. I'm just saying, Jock Peterson.
Will Myers.
Yeah, Will Myers hits that grand slam out of the 8-hole or something like that. You never know. I think
that looked like a BP throw from Mike Minor. I don't know. Myers barely even swung, it looked like, and he just already knew it was way out of the park. All right, we get Mike Trout, Johnny Cueto. Obviously, Mike Trout's in play every slate. How do you delineate him versus Bregman or him versus Blackman here?
Yeah, so Cueto has limited some hard contact, and he's a guy that's going to get 9 points for himself, and he's going to give up maybe a total of 15 to 20 points in a stack with the walks and hits that he gives up. It's all about nailing the homer. You don't know which guy's going to do it. I tend to probably play the best players like Trout, Rendon, and Ohtani. This screams tiers for me. If I'm looking up against tiers and I see Trout versus or this guy versus, I would probably lean on some of these better Angel bats. But Angels, and I mean, we've got 11 games on this slate. I can find better spots to stack than against Cueto.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just think that the age-old question is always Mookie Betts, Trout, and then the guys that are over 6K like Bregman and Blackman because they're Coors. You know what I mean? Normally they would be definitely far lower on the list than Betts and Trout, but how close does that get them? And then you got Yastrzemski against a lefty. This is our last game here against Sandoval. I'm not targeting anybody really here. Maybe Longoria, hits lefties pretty well. He's been decent, but other than that, Solano 4,800 is way too expensive for me.
Yeah. Oh, Slater's day to day. I was gonna say him, but he's day to day. Maybe Solano. Flores hits lefties really well, but yeah, I don't know. If they pump out 3 or 4 lefties in this giant lineup against Sandoval, I'd have more interest in Sandoval, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we get Yastrzemski and Dickerson in the lineup because Slater can't play, then I'm more interested in Sandoval. So let's hope that happens.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to our classic breakdown. If Castellani does really well, TK is just an absolute genius. And then he gets crushed. It doesn't matter. I mean, it was Coors. So, I mean, it just 4,900, it's like you're paying for a little bit cheaper of a hitter almost.
Right.
So
he's almost I think he's 1,300 cheaper than Alex Bregman.
Yeah, there you go. So who's going to score more? I would probably lean on Castellani.
4 at-bats or 4 innings? I'm going to vote Castellani.
Yeah, there you go. All right, thanks a lot. Subscribe to us down below. Give us a like, comment. We appreciate all the support to our Fantasy Sports Insight channel. Any last words before we sign off, TK?
Nope, I'm good. Go Tribe.